and we are extremely, extremely pleased to have Ilya Salkind here with us this Superman celebration. I've spoken with him on the phone, haven't actually laid eyes on him yet, but I understand that he is here. And so, without further ado, let's give him a big round of applause.
Well, I mean, this is incredible because being in Metropolis is, it's really like being 30 years back in the big Metropolis, and this is the big Metropolis now, really, because it's Superman and Superman only, which is pretty extraordinary. So I'm really very happy to finally be here, because there were 3 or 4 times where I almost made it, but then there were other things and I couldn't do it, and I was working, and this was a perfect time. So now I just have to put my Clark Kent glasses on. So it's exciting because it really is special when everybody here is really Superman fan. Which is really cool because, I mean, I did a couple of conventions. I've never done conventions, and of course, well, you have all the other superheroes, and well, it's interesting, but I mean, this is unique, you know, having just Superman.
And
I think Star Trek has the same thing.
I do think that you are being modest, because I think that we have you to thank for Superman being in a movie, period. Am I not correct?
Well, thank you very much. Well, you know, before the film, there were cartoons, there were television shows, black and white, with George Reeves, and Kirk Allen and Noel Neill, and they also had episodic. Every Saturday they would show I think half an hour of an episode and leave it hanging, and people would come back, you know, the next Saturday to see the end. But nobody had ever done a comic book on Superman, or anybody, you know, any character actually, you know, made real. I mean, made like reality, in the sense that, first of all, number one, he was supposed to fly, and fly like really, you know, in a believable way, because like George Reeve had wind, and he was on a thing like this, and so that was, I think, one of the most important points. And the other one was to make it really big, in the sense that we wanted a real superb cast. We wanted the best technicians, and the movie was basically going to reintroduce him, because at that point the popularity of the comic book was going down, and the TV serials had finished, and he was actually losing a lot of ground in terms of popularity, and at the beginning, I mean, I had the idea at the end of '73, and I said to my father, who was my partner, we had done 2 very successful films before that, which were The Three and the Four Musketeers with Raquel Welch and Faye Dunaway, and so we were like pretty hot, you know. We could, you know, really call studios or agents, and people would come to the phone. And I said, we were having dinner, and I just said, no, we should do something really different, and why don't we do Superman? And frankly, I still don't know where that came from. Popped up. I mean,
we think it's an incredible idea.
well, I mean, you know, I had, although I was raised in France, but I had spent a year in New York when I was 7, and I had read the comic books, and it wasn't there, you know, and somehow it's really interesting because I still, you know, it just came out, and then he said he was very European and didn't know at all about comic books or cartoons and things like that, and he said, "But Superman?" I said, "Well, Superman, the guy flies, and powerful, he can bend steel bars." I didn't say he can, whatever they said, he can fly. Yeah, no. But I just said, you know, and he is as famous as Santa Claus or Jesus Christ. And he said, wow, so what is that? I said, well, it's a comic book, and they've had television and all that, and very successful, but now there is nothing, and frankly, if we could do a big movie and make it believable, I think it could work. And I said, let me talk to my different, pretty strong accent, let me talk to my different backers and people and bankers. So he talked, and then about 2 days after, he said, yeah, they know the Superman. They all know the Superman. The French, the Italian, the Spanish. Actually, in Italy, for example, he's called Nempo Kid. But it is Superman. And basically in the entire world. Absolutely no. So that was a big, big thing, because when you have a title already that you don't have to explain, and people react, it's very important.
It's a great selling tool.
Enormous, yes, because you don't have to discover what the film is about, and people knew the name, and vaguely they knew that he had all these powers and all that. I mean, depending on countries, but absolutely universal, even in China.
Wow. Well, I think since we are calling this a Q&A session, if you wouldn't mind answering some questions, we'll go to the audience then. Is that all right?
Absolutely, I'm delighted.
All right, and my beautiful assistant is Colin.
All right, who has a question? All right, go ahead. When you, like you were saying, when you were getting the vision of the movie, did you have any cast members in mind when you were doing it, or did you just?
That's a very good question. No, because I did say, and this is absolutely, there've been so many things written about the Superman 1, 2, I mean, endless. But this is absolutely what I said. I said the great thing is we can put tremendous stars in different parts, but we should have an unknown to play Superman. And this was really when that dinner. So we would have 3, 4 stars around, and there was the unknown. So it was really there, and actually I almost succeeded in the first phase because the film took 5 years. And we started with a different director, which is, he's alive and in great shape. Very nice man, Guy Hamilton, who did Goldfinger. Very good director. We started with him, and we tested Bruce Jenner, who was then the Catherine winner, and looked very good. And I said, okay, he's known, but he's not known like Robert Redford or Paul Newman, and it's still not that recognizable. But the name, it's a star. And we tested him. Actually, we were based in Rome at the beginning, and we tested him there, and he was very good. But he looked too young. He really looked 22, 20, 23, which he actually was. And he had a very young way of expressing, and so that was really the problem, because he was pretty good actually, and but I mean, we by then we already had a script by Mario Puzo, who had written The Godfather, and we had all agreed that he was around 30. I mean, which is kind of the comic book age. It's 30-ish. So that was the problem with Bruce. So then everything went the wrong way, because of course there was no other Bruce Jenner. That was it. We won the Catherine winner, and we looked the part. I mean, there were other athletes, but my idea of the unknown became very difficult, because everybody started saying, no, we need a star, we need a star, we need a name, we need a name. And then it became an incredible, absolute madness, where, because the publicity started growing and growing and growing, it was taking so long, and the Jenner test, and Guy Hamilton being signed, and Mario Puzo. I mean, the film was becoming more and more important and serious. So everybody then was pushing for a star, and I was forced, because obviously the financiers, the backers had the final say, to go to literally, I was a little more clever than that, because I did a list with DC Comics, and I know there's somebody from DC Comics here. But the fact is that in the list, I put, they had to approve Lois Lane, and they had to approve, of course, Superman, Clark Kent. And they had approval on everything, because Warner's, who owned DC Comics, was not at all interested in the film. Absolutely not. They thought it was.
They're glad it happened.
Yeah, they are. But the fact is, they absolutely thought it was a terrible idea. And now, don't forget, there was the Batman, the camp Batman going on, and so that, wasn't a hit. Started and then went down. And so when we called DC from Europe and said, because we were based there then, do you want to sell us the rights to make films on Superman? DC called Warner Brothers, and an executive that I shall not name, no, very nice man, but I mean, won't had I mean, was very candid with me, and he said, you know, Ilya, this was later when we were shooting. He said, when you guys called in '74 for the rights, you know, DC said, he was then president of production, Warner's, and DC said, okay, these guys, these Salkinds, they did Musketeers, and they want to buy the rights, and what do we do? And no, you sell it. It's absolutely worth nothing. He said something worse than that. He admitted it, which is pretty cool, because a lot of guys would not admit that kind of mistake, but he admitted it, and he's actually a very good friend. He had a little revenge. He did Spider-Man 1. Way after, but he did. So I actually sent him a telegram saying, well, this time you were right.
How did you decide on Christopher? How did you decide on him?
That's where the list of DC was very important, because I put absolutely every actor that had a name and was famous, and they accepted names like, and I did it on purpose, because I really put the maximum quantity of actors, knowing that out of 50, that's one might be okay. If we had to go with the known guy. And there were one or two in that list that could have possibly made it, which I'll name. But I had people like Cassius Clay, Muhammad Ali, they approved it. DC approved it. No, really, Dustin Hoffman, they approved it.
That could have changed our
It's fantastic.
statue.
Al Pacino, they approved it. Nicholson, they approved. You know, so everybody was in there, and of course I knew that Dustin's a fantastic actor, but he's not Superman, right? And they approved it. Actually, there's a documentary where Paul Levitz, when he was still at DC, said that list was really, when you look at it, it was kind of funny. And he speaks of everything like that. And actually, it was funny, because Al Pacino, you know.
It certainly would have changed the look of our statue, I think.
Sorry. Yeah. Different statue, yeah. We're going to. But then, however, the publicity was getting bigger and bigger, and then who's going to be Superman? And Warner's by then had not taken, because they had an option to take the distribution for US, and then they were still not interested. We had Puzo, we had Guy Hamilton, we had, we added actually to Puzo, we added the Newmans, who had written Bonnie and Clyde, so we're really talented people. And they still weren't interested, and we still didn't have a Superman. And then every actor, I mean, I don't know how many people we saw. We saw people, the most bizarre, because by then DC, I mean, Warner's had said to DC, you know, let them get who they can get, as long as he's a star, we don't care anymore. So we ended up seeing Neil Diamond. Don't ask me why, but well, the reason was his agent was a very nice man, and he said, "No, please, you know, you have to come and see him," and that was with Dick Donner then already. And
So let me get this straight. Superman could have been a musical?
it could have been a musical, and he could have looked like Neil Diamond. Could have been very interesting, you know. But and Diamond was very excited. He wanted to do it. That's the fun part, because the agent actually pushed me to see him to make him happy, because he was a big star, a singer. So we then saw some guys who were more, I would say, could have done it, like John Voight.
Wow.
Now, John Voight was not that big yet. That was after Midnight Cowboys, so he was just starting, but he hadn't had the Oscar for, I can't remember the film where he's in the chair.
Coming home.
Coming home, yeah. And we had a meeting with him, and very complicated guy, very nice, but really complicated. I mean, was becoming a really intellectual kind of Superman. You know, questions, why do I fly? Why do I land? You know, things like that. And so, you know, although he was really physically and all that, he was in great shape. He was 30. I mean, but we didn't go with him. And then there was another one who actually turned it down. It was another pretty big star who, Jimmy Cannon. That was after Godfather. So he also wasn't that famous yet. And okay, borderline, you know, very good actor. I mean, it would have been Neil Diamond or Dustin Hoffman. So he turned it down. And so then it was becoming absolutely terrifying, because all the big stars were or not interested at all, or turning it down. And I offered it to the biggest star then, which was Robert Redford.
That would be great.
No, I know Robert Redford at 35. I mean, pretty fantastic. But I knew that it wasn't Superman. Still was Robert Redford, and he was very intelligent, because he wrote me a letter, very nice letter, where he said, "Look, I'm sorry, but I think it's it's a very interesting idea and all that, but people are not going to believe that Robert Redford is flying around Metropolis." Right? And thank God he said that, because that was the last of the big stars that I tried. And there was one, by the way, who was trying desperately to get the part. And he was not yet that famous, but was going to become very famous, and that was Rocky, Sylvester Stallone. And I had seen Rocky in a private screening about 2 weeks before the release, and of course it was fantastic. But hey, yo, boys, what do we do? So
I believe you have picked the correct business to be in.
he really was, lobbying and calling, and he wanted to do the part, but it wouldn't work. I mean, it just couldn't work. I mean, you had to have the comic. And so then I came up with a desperate idea where I said to my father, "Look, we're not going to get anybody like Redford or Can turn it down. Boyd wants to make it an elliptic, complicated, weird, strange film. So why don't we offer 3 parts, and he can pick one, to Paul Newman. And then Paul was around 50, I mean a little older than the age of the comic, but he looked terrific. And so I offered him Lex Luthor, Jor-El, and Superman. And he turned the 3 down. Yeah. He did, and with an enormous salary, actually. So when that happened, I said to my father, look, we're not going to get a star for Superman. It's impossible because, or they're going to be too famous or not right. So let's go with semi-known, almost unknown, and then we saw a whole other bunch of guys like, I mean, some you might know, some, I mean, there was an actor called Perry King, who was pretty hot at one point, not a big star, but very good actor. The guy who played in Wonder Woman, her boss, yeah, we saw him, Wagner. No, I'm talking about the bionic woman.
Lindsay.
Lyle Wagner, no?
The guy that played Goldman in $6 Million Man, who was also Jamie Lee Summers, the Bionic Woman's boss, and saying,
Oh, right.
I can see his face.
No, he actually, these guys look great. They all look like Superman. But, you know, again, I was getting a lot of screaming from Europe because I was in LA, desperately trying to find the actor. And this is in 2 stages because there was a whole period with Guy Hamilton and then a whole period with Richard Donner. And I then said, look, the only way is to get two major stars for Jor-El and for Lex Luthor. And they said, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, all the backers. So that's when really we offered the part of Lex Luthor to Dustin Hoffman, who would have been very good.
Yeah.
I mean, could have been terrific. Wonderful actor. And it was almost happening, and I don't know, finally it didn't happen. So then, literally, Kryptonian sign came because an agent that was had been a very big agent in Hollywood and represented at one point everybody. I mean, the biggest stars, like Elizabeth Taylor and Rex Harrison and Audrey Hepburn, and I mean, enormous agent. Called me, and that was in 77, and early, and I by then I had a pretty big head myself because on one side, you know, okay, I wasn't getting the guy, but the publicity was enormous everywhere. In Hollywood, it was just like crazy. So I had a secretary who said there's this guy on the phone, and I said, yeah, so what does he want? No, he wants to talk to you, it's very important. And it was a German guy, and he said, Ilya, I can get you Marlon Brando. I can get you Marlon Brando. I said, Kurt, you can't even get me tomato, lettuce. You can't get anybody today. Because I was in the Hollywood mean mode, you know, which sadly enough, one has to get out of it. But there's a moment you're in it, and it's not pleasant for the others. But the fact is, I said, oh, come on, Kurt, you're gonna get me Marlon Brando. And this is after Marlon had The Godfather, Last Tango, and Apocalypse, the biggest star in the world, and 50. I can get you, Marlon, I can get you, Marlon. Come on, please, look, I'm busy here, I'm doing things. Please, you know, go take care of your gardeners. So he calls again. It was an agent's push, and he called 5 calls, and he says, all right, you can get him, but why can't we get him? I mean, he's the biggest star in the world. Oh, because I'm going out with his ex-girlfriend, and friendly with him, and she can get him to read the script, but you have to make an offer now. I have to make an offer now. I can't make an offer now. I have to wake up my father, who was in Paris, and I was in Los Angeles. It's 4 o'clock in the morning. No. Marlon is a man who changes all the time. You have to make offer now. So I sound like Brando here. This doesn't sound. No. This guy was German, not Austrian. German. Different accent. And he said, no, now. You have to do it now. Okay. So I called my father. I woke him up. 4 o'clock in the morning. What do you want? Already was not happy because I'd been there for 9 months, spending a fortune, and nothing was happening. And basically, we were at the same time. I mean, the script was going ahead, the things, and Hamilton was still in the film at that point. And I said, look, this Kurt, you know, he says he can get Brando, and he wants an offer right now. And my father had a fantastic sense of the moment, you know, and somehow he got it, and he said, okay, make the offer. So what should I offer? He said, offer 2 million seconds for the part of Jor-El. I mean, obviously we had discussed that. It was that part. It was only 3 weeks of shooting. So I called back Kurt, the agent, and I said, okay, look, I just spoke with my father. You can offer 2.7 for the 3 weeks. And Kurt said, I don't know if that's an offer, but okay, I'll bring it. And send me the script. I recorded the script on the bellboard from the hotel runs. And he calls me the next morning. He says, he hasn't read the script yet, and 3.7 million and 11.75 of the gross. Now, the gross, for people who don't know how that works in box office, is the money that comes to the theaters. The theaters keep half, and the rest goes to the distributor, like Warner's and Universal. So that means that money, those 11 points would have been deducted from what Warner's would get after the theaters got their share. So that's real absolute money where they cannot cheat, they can't invent weird accounts and strange overheads and things like that. Impossible. Like if they give you money on the profits, you never see anything. Actually, Forrest Gump is still not covered. No, the people who had profit points have not paid $1 yet. It's incredible. So, but that's the studios. I mean, that's how they function. And there goes my last studio movie. No, but anyway, the fact is, I called my father again, and it was earlier this time. I won $3.7 million and 11.3 quarters, and he said, "Do it."
Early. This is a tough relay. Harold. Oh, that's awesome. Nice. Awesome. So cool. Yeah, really? Cool. Yep. Than you. Oh yeah.
I'm very hot. Are you roasting stuff?
It's not as bad as the one you're
That's when I had come sit with the daughter.